All right, it's Cat Noir here with Greta Goodbottom, and we are going to be talking about cosplay and drag and how they work together and what are the similarities and differences and kind of our different styles. So, what is cosplay to you?
I mean, cosplay is just dressing up as someone else. Like, it doesn't have to be like, you know, a fantasy or character. And so I think in that sense, drag is cosplay, even though like I'm not a person who exists. Like, I'm not like imitating someone in real life. It's just a character I'm making up. But I think cosplay is just dress up for adults.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think for me personally, when I'm making pieces and parts, it's really cool to take something that exists only on the screen or in a show or in a cartoon and make it something that exists, like something that you can't necessarily buy or easily purchase. So there are a lot of similarities and differences with drag. So how do you personally incorporate cosplay into your drag?
I love gender bending characters. So one of my first cosplay adventures in drag, if you think of like traditional cosplay, was I did Superman. I didn't want to do Supergirl because I was like, I want the black hair and everything. And so I had this big pompadour and the curl, but it was like a sequined evening gown with like the S on the chest and everything. And so that was like kind of my first adventure into it. But then, you know, then from there I was like, oh, let's do Wolverine. And so I did this whole like sequin mini dress X-Men suit with like the Wolverine claws. And then I did Captain America, but he had like a high ponytail with like these like red, white, and blue braids coming out of it.
So how has your cosplay and drag style changed or evolved over the years?
Well, when I started, I didn't think of myself as pretty. And I know that's like a weird thing now looking at me. Like, I'm gorgeous. But I always thought like, oh, I have this long face. I'm a very, very tall person, as you can tell. So I was like, I'm just not feminine. How do I like be pretty? So I'm gonna be really campy. And so I started with, you know, the huge dark shadows and like huge eyes and 6 pairs of 301s and clown white everywhere. And it was very much like this campy kind of like, I'm not pretty, so I'm just going to be awkward and dorky. And then I started playing with makeup, and it was like all by myself at first. And I'd be like, oh, like, let me try a softer look or whatever. And I started figuring it out, and I was like, screw everyone who told you that you couldn't be pretty. Like, you just had to learn your face and your body and how to do it. And like, why can't this female character be 6'7"? Like, why not?
I would say my cosplay has changed a great deal. I'm actually fairly new to it. I've only been doing cosplay for the past 3 years. Started with Halloween. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work because I focus so much on making like perfect replicas of a character sometimes, and sometimes it's really just not practical to do that. Like, I'm going to go crazy trying to make sure every detail is super perfect, and then I end up getting frustrated and like letting something else slide. So I have gotten a little bit better about making characters my own. So I have some other characters that I'm working on coming up, whether they're gender bending or taking a animal like character and making it into a more humanoid character. And I also really like taking characters and representing like an iconic moment in time. Like, for instance, with my Spider-Man cosplay, I have like my Captain America shield, because my absolute favorite moment in all of Marvel is when they reveal the brand new Spider-Man as Tom Holland, and he steals Captain America's shield, and he just kind of stands up like, oh, is like that a big deal? And and just kind of reveals himself. And like that moment is just, I have actually a big giant picture of that in my room. Like, it's just such an iconic moment. I love those like moments in time in cosplay. People don't always get it, but I love creating that. So who are some of your cosplay icons?
So my all-time favorite cosplay person, and they do more celebrities than anything, has to be a local drag king named Jams Dean. He does this Weird Al Yankovic, and it is like, other than the fact that he's like this like 5'2" version of Al, like you wouldn't know it wasn't him. And then he just like does Sonny, like of Sonny and Cher, and he does George Michael, and he does Prince, and like it's not so much about the costumes, but it's more of the mannerisms when he gets on stage. He just like jams, disappears, and it becomes whoever he's portraying. And that's what I love. I would love to get better at that. I'm terrible at imitating people.
Yeah, I think that's something I want to work on too, is getting better at embodying the character, whether it's for photos or talking to people, taking a character that aren't, like Cat Noir is in my comfort zone of portraying, but other characters who are outside of my comfort zone. I would say some of my icons for cosplay. Thing is, I don't know a lot of cosplayers personally. I have a few close friends. Quick Twin is one of my cosplay parents. A lot of these people we talk about, I'll put their Instagram handles below. He's one of the first people I've met that was really able to provide me with some guidance in my cosplay and things like that. So if you ever get a chance, check him out on Instagram. He does a lot of really cool stuff. But I would say I get a lot of inspiration from watching Drag Race, but they used to do a lot of like showing the structure and things like that and watching their frustrations. So that really eggs me on when I'm working on something to watch them like not failing, but struggling to get ready. And so I feel less bad while I'm working on it, and it motivates me to try. Or I sometimes learn a trick or tip for those kinds of things. I wish there was a Drag Race for cosplay. I really do.
Make it.
Yeah, I could try.
I, on the other hand, love when they fail. It's my favorite thing. When they're walking down the runway and they're like, because they're literally holding the dress together that's falling apart on their body. Love it. It's my favorite thing.
So what is a cosplay look that you are most proud of so far?
I love them all. I think my Coraline is probably, it's also the most recent one I made, so I like sew everything I wear. And so every time I make something, I get better. And so that was just the most recent one I did. So it's the best constructed. It's the it's the newest. And I took I'll have him post a picture of it. But I feminized it a lot, where I actually because she's like a little girl in a very loose fitting dress. And so I hyper tailored it and added petticoats and made it this really kind of fashion-y styled version of it. But then I had the button eyes and the yarn wig, and it was a very drag take on Coraline, and I really liked how it all came together in the end.
I would say my favorite cosplay to date is, I have a lot of good ideas right now in the works, but this currently, my Cat Noir, is my favorite cosplay to date. And Greta, you actually helped me quite a bit learning how to sew this, so I thank you.
You did it.
Thank you though so much for helping and teaching and guiding, because this was the first costume that I've gone to cosplays a lot, or Comic-Cons a lot, where I'm so excited about the costume I made and I walk around and nobody really knows who I am. So this is the first one where people were coming up to me and like, oh my gosh, I just texted my friend the good Cat Noir's up here, and I'm like, I'm the good Cat Noir?
Look at this detailing. Look at this detailing.
But this is the first costume I really felt that way. And I'm hoping to use this for inspiration for more costumes to come. So our final cosplay question for today is, if money was no object, you had all the resources at your disposal, what is a cosplay that you would attempt, or a look that you would attempt?
Okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, because the main part of the costume is a wife beater and a bomber jacket, but I'd want to be Sigourney Weaver in the spacewalker in Alien, the massive robotic thing. So I'd be Sigourney Weaver, so I just have a wife beater and green pants on and a bomber jacket, but I'd want the 12-foot motorized spacewalker. What about you, Nick?
Well, if you ever want help with that, I'm not good with motorized things, but if you need some structure help, I would happily help, because that would be really cool to make, and I'm already picturing the PVC pipe structure and foam layers that we would be adding to that. I would say for me, one cosplay I've had in mind for quite a long time that I've been kind of worried to attempt because of finances is from the TV show Digimon, and it is Angemon. So it's this big, huge character with 6 angel wings, and though attempting individual wings would be not super difficult. It's difficult, but doable. But making multiple wings and getting them strapped to me and supported and not falling off and being able to walk around and all that, and the amount of material and things like that. And I would need a good wig for that.
And feathers are expensive.
Oh yeah, feathers are expensive. Well, thank you so much for interviewing me and taking the time. I'm glad we were able to discuss this, and I hope we do more interviews in the near future.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. See ya.
It's promotion time. Hey guys, it's Tommy, the Green Ranger here, and I have a special message for my friend Nick. Go to my channel and subscribe. Go to my channel and subscribe. Go to my channel Watch more videos on my channels. Go!